Thank you for taking a minute out. And before we get into your life in leadership coaching and engineering, I want to begin our conversation with 4 years
Mhm,
ago. We were trying to figure this pandemic out. How long is it going to last? How's it going to
mhm.
affect us? How did you make it through that time period, and how did it ultimately change you?
The biggest benefit of pandemic was time to reflect on myself, like what exactly I wanted, what are my priorities and values. I read a ton of books during that time. It gave me a new perspective, so much so that when I was impacted by the layoff in 2023, I knew what exactly I wanted for the next 10 years of my life. So instead of going back to another leadership role in the Bay Area in a tech company, I decided to take a 2-year break and start my own coaching company. So that was the biggest shift in my mindset that it is not required to have more knowledge. I have all the knowledge required. It is time to go apply my knowledge and do something on my own.
Yeah.
That shift happened during the pandemic because I had tremendous amount of time for self-reflection, analyzing, and thinking about my future.
So if I put you in front of a bunch of third graders right now at career day, and one of the kids was curious and says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
I'll start with the word called I help people become change smiths.
Okay.
And the question would be, what is a change smith? Just like a goldsmith or a blacksmith, Changesmith is a person who is skilled in conscious thinking and behavioral changes. They can change their thoughts, they can change their behavior to achieve their goals. And I help people become Changesmith through my coaching programs and courses.
So what did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream?
When I was in third grade, I wanted to be a doctor.
Okay.
Probably the act of helping others, serving others through my expertise was something I was passionate about. And that actually became now a philosophy in coaching after so many years.
So, how did we get to this point? Take me back to where you were born and raised, and how you got into engineering, and how you became a coach and kind of a leadership in a leadership role to help people get to where they want to be. How did this happen?
I was born in India. Um, all my schooling and until graduation, it happened in India until post graduation. Now, when I started working, right after I started working, I realized that goals are really important to achieve in your life. And I always thought about my personal goals, like what would I do beyond my job? What would bring me happiness and joy? I kept asking that question. And I went through several courses right in my first year of working. I realized I enjoy speaking. I enjoy connecting with people. I joined Toastmasters, which is a public speaking forum. I spent a lot of time there. I figured out my joy is in helping people. So ever since that experience, and since 2007 onwards, I've been always trying to see how I can help other people through my courses, workshops, and coaching. So this is actually a culmination of all that experience that I took and say, okay, I did this in addition to my job. Can I do this full time and make a living out of this? That is the experimentation I'm doing currently.
So, who's been kind of an inspiration or a hero for you in your life?
There are many. I mean, there are many. Initially, I started with people like Zig Ziglar. I read his books in 2003, Napoleon Hill, Zig Ziglar, and many of those. Tony Robbins. I went to his workshops, a couple of them. There are many. I always look at success leaves clues. Essentially, I look at people who are successful in what I want to do and model their success. So there's not one, there are so many people I can talk about. If you want to pick a specific example, I published a book last month and I worked with a mentor called Scott Allen, who has published more than 45 books. And he knows how to market the book, how to create based on the courses based on the book. So currently, I'm working with him to ensure I model his success of 45 books and get all those ideas into my business of coaching, course creation, and book marketing.
So, if you could meet one person alive right now on the planet that you find fascinating, who would it be? Who would you love to meet and talk to?
I would love to meet J. Krishnamurti. J. Krishnamurti was an Indian philosopher who was born in India, moved to UK for some time, and then finally settled in Ojai, California for a long time. He went around the world talking about philosophy, psychology, human thinking, human way of approaching life for about 6 decades. I would love to meet Jiddu Krishnamurti for a one-to-one conversation, ask him questions about how he thought about this life and world people around. If you watch some of his talks on YouTube, there is a talk called The Network of Thought. That talk was given in 1960s, but he was talking about the future. You will be surprised in the world of AI, internet, and computer science, and so on. He was talking in 1960s what could happen in the future. So he was a man ahead of his time. I am really inspired to meet him over lunch if there was ever a chance.
Yeah. So in your line of work, you have to give good advice to your clients. What's the best advice you've ever gotten?
In my line of work, which is coaching, I don't give advice. I believe that people have the full potential, they know their solutions, but their beliefs are actually surrounding them. They are not giving them clarity. So my basis is I don't give advice. I'm not
Okay.
a consultant, I'm a coach. Now, flip side of that is I also take advice from many people, but I decide what to do. Now, I'll give you one example. The best advice people have given me in the coaching world is you have to build a funnel and then put people through the funnel. That was the best advice I've received since last year. I started the business Changesmith Coaching in May last year, 2023. In 14 months, I was able to build a funnel. Let me explain what a funnel is. So I have a book I published. People can purchase it for $10 on Amazon and many other places, including audiobooks. Now from there, they can come to my second service in the funnel, which is my digital courses on Kajabi on my website. From there, they can come to my third funnel element, which is a slightly higher price, which is my live courses on a platform called maven.com. From there, they can come to the next one on the funnel called my one-to-one coaching for 6 hours or 12 hours to get clarity on their goals and achieve those goals. And the last one is some companies are inviting me for group speaking where they have a big audience. They want me to speak and motivate the audience in the tech world. I built this funnel. This is the best advice I've received in the last 12 months that really changed my business trajectory because now I know I have the funnel from $11 book to a few $1,000s for coaching and speaking. Now it's a matter of going around the world and saying, hey, here is the funnel I have. How many of you would like to go through the funnel and buy or work with me in any capacity you want to work with?
So what is your motivation to do the work that you do? You have to give obviously a lot as a coach to help your clients, but you also have to retain to evolve and grow as a human. What is that balance that motivates you every day to do this work?
I was inspired by a man named John Goddard. I was introduced to John's work in 2003 in a workshop. John, at age 14, had listed about 127 goals for his life. He is the world's greatest adventurer and goal-setting person in the world. And those goals were not easy. They were like climbing the Mount Everest, Mount Kilimanjaro, crossing the Nile River, kayaking, and so on. He lived in California, Glendale. When I was exposed to his work in 2003, I listed my own goals. I initially listed 5 goals, and then the goals became 52 over the period of time. I'll tell you a couple of goals. So the first goal I wrote in 2003 was to lose 33 pounds or 16 kilograms. I was overweight and obese and so on. And then I faced the fear of water. I became a confident public speaker through Toastmasters journey. I learned the martial arts. I donated blood 50 times over the last 21 years. And the book I wrote talks about all those 52 goals, with goal number 1 being losing weight. And the goal number 52 is writing a non-fiction book, which is this in my hand right now. So my
Yeah.
message is I already have a list of goals to achieve. That keeps me motivated. Those are intrinsic goals that I want to achieve while I'm on this planet. I don't need any external motivation. My list, my bucket list is my motivation. I always look back and say, what's happening this year, this quarter, this month? And how do I get this domino effect going on to achieve my life goals?
So what's one of your favorite client success stories?
One of my clients is at a company called Salesforce. He's a technical lead, about 24 years in the industry with Intel and many other companies, Intel, Facebook, and finally at Salesforce. Initially, we started working with this person on communications because, as you know, engineers are extremely smart, but they may not have the ability to communicate well, articulate well. And the higher you go in the hierarchy as an individual contributor, what got you here won't get you there, which means your technical skills got you here, but it will not get you in the future in the next level. So we worked on his communication skills in terms of writing in simple words, communicating, articulating complex ideas to non-technical people. And the way he has changed in the last 8 months has been phenomenal. His manager recently came to me and said, "Hey, you are really good in delegating tasks to people and mentoring other people. What's happening? How are you changing here?" That is the best client testimony I have got so far in the last 15 months, where people said, "Look, my manager is complimenting that something magical is happening to me. I am changing my behaviors and becoming a talent magnet, and I'm a multiplier on the team."
So, of all of the things that you've accomplished in your life up to this point, evolved into what are you the proudest of?
Well, there are many. I'm going to pick two of them. Just to, it's difficult to pick. I will pick two of them. One is I donated blood 50 times, 50, 40 times in India, 10 times in the United States. And that is not easy because you need to maintain your own health to donate blood and to keep this consistent, because I kept traveling a lot to India and other countries. I have my own running goals and marathon goals. So despite all that, keeping the motivation for 21 years to donate blood consistently has been my proudest accomplishment. The second one is writing a nonfiction book. Now, some of you who have been listening to this podcast, you might be thinking that I'm fairly good in speaking English. I was not, because English is my third language. I learned to write the alphabet A to Z in fifth grade. In fifth grade was my first exposure to English. Everything I learned about English language is through reading and listening and speaking in Toastmasters. I'm giving you that background because it is really difficult for someone who has English as a third language to write a book.
Yeah.
It is extremely challenging because of your own self-doubts. You're not sure, because I learned UK English or British English to start with in India. And now I'm out to the United States. All my book is written in American English. So the punctuation is different and some structures are different. So those two are my top challenging goals, if you ask me on top of my head.
So, if you had a dream tonight, ran into an 18-year-old version of you, you could give
Mhm.
that young version of you a piece of advice based on the life you've lived, the wisdom you've gained. What advice would you give your younger self?
The only advice I give to my younger self is future will be taken care. Focus on what you're doing right now. Be fully there and do not let the thoughts of future or your failure haunt you. Be wherever you are, be fully there. Give your best possible performance in that moment, whether you are with your family, at school, or at college, writing something. Be fully there. Do not think about the future. Do not think about the past. It's the now that matters. Now becomes tomorrow later. Yesterday became, past.
So, everyone out there has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, all of your readers, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I'm someone who is constantly reinventing myself, knowing that I am a product of my own thoughts, which means I'm like a river. Every day the river is flowing, and the river of thoughts from morning to evening, even when I sleep, it's always going on. Knowing that I am not perfect, I am not my thoughts. Thoughts will keep coming and going. My self-perception is I am a river of thoughts. As long as I watch the ripples on the river, know what thoughts are coming, and know which ones are real, which ones are not, I can enjoy my life fully. My self-perception is a river of thoughts constantly flowing.
Yeah. So, if anyone wants to pick up your latest book, they want to hire you, learn more about you, reach out, any of the good business, where do they go?
They can go to my website, which is changesmith.me. Changesmith is one word, ChangeSmith, changesmith.me. If they go there, they can download a workbook for free to understand how to set goals and reflect on their future goals. They can also know about my book, my video courses, and one-to-one coaching engagement, as well as my group course programs. Everything is in one place.
Okay, excellent. I will put that in the show notes. This has been wonderful and inspiring. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your time today. Keep doing the great work. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. I really enjoyed being here. I love the
Yes.
questions.
Thank you.